So good morning, everyone. As Rick said, I have 10 minutes to talk about what is happening in Europe. Europe has, well, the European Union has 27 states, and there's lots of things going on. We have thousands and thousands of pages of legislation and not too much enforcement. So basically, I'm going to give you a hint of a bit the political momentum and then the situation of the zero waste movement in Europe. So why zero waste in Europe right now? These are just some reasons. But basically, the message that I want to convey here today is that recycling is now mainstream in Europe. It has been mainstream the last 10 years, last 20 years. Now the industry, the politicians, everybody accepts that recycling is the way forward. We need a new goal for the new generation. And zero waste, in a way, it allows us to move forward. And the way we are presenting it in Europe is that all the European policies go in the direction of reducing waste. In climate change, you have to reduce emissions. For resource scarcity, we have to keep the materials that are coming into Europe in Europe. The economic crisis, we have to generate employment. There's a concept of urban ecological security, sustainability, get away from combustion, go into more digestion. The 20th century has been the century of we have burned too many things. The 21st century is a matter of like really seeing how to reuse and find other ways to preserve energy. The change of paradigm, doing more with less, and the communication. And I think that's a very important thing of zero waste is that it's the message for the future in Europe. Because any European is in favor of recycling. But now we have to get them into the zero waste state of mind, in a way. So, changing the paradigm. The European Union says they want to be a recycling society. I think we have to say that we need the European Union to be a zero waste society. Why is that important? In blue is what we are landfilling, in red is what we are incinerating, in green is what we are recycling, and then in kind of purple-violet is what we are composting. Denmark, one of the main countries that burn more in Europe, is generating around 1,650 pounds, if I get it correct, working kilos, so it's a bit more difficult. And Czech Republic is the one that is generating less, with around 600 pounds. So if we look at recycling rates, that's what we do in the European Union. So like, okay, Denmark is recycling more than 40%, which is good. They're recycling very, very much in percentual terms. Czech Republic is recycling around 6%. This is data from 2007. They are moving fast. So if we look at percentual rates, say, okay, we have to be like Denmark. But if we look at waste generation, we see that Denmark is generating 3 times more waste than the Czech Republic. So we have to say it's not a matter of recycling more, it's also a matter of producing less waste. I mean, there's reasons why Czech Republic is producing less waste than Denmark, and I don't have the time to go into that, but I think that that's what we really have to bring into the debate, that it's not a matter of recycling more, it's also a matter of generating less, and that goes prevention, etc. So as important as building a circular economy is to reduce the materials use. Why am I saying this? Because in Europe, we have the Eurostat is studying how much stuff is coming into Europe and how much stuff is coming out. So what we see is when it comes to biomass, we are importing 1/3 more than we are basically, we are exporting 126 million tons and we're importing 193. So we are dependent on the rest of the world for 1/3 of the biomass that we are consuming in Europe. When it comes to fuels and mining products, we are completely dependent. It's 90% dependent on the rest of the world. That means that, of course, in Europe, we don't have the materials to be sustainable. We are dependent on the rest of the world. So zero waste is a very important part of this. So yeah, very quickly, the resource use in Europe has grown 34% between 2000 and 2007, which is huge. This is not sustainable, and zero waste has an important role to play. Thank you. So I just wanted to give you an example very quickly of I think how the waste can be done. In Flanders, which is the record in Europe in recycling. So you can see in blue is what has been recycled, in red is what has been incinerated. Landfill is not there. So what we can see is that it's important that you increase recycling, but what Flanders has done very well is stabilize waste generation in times of economic growth. And that is very important, to work at all levels of waste hierarchy. And that is something that the European Union is trying to push, but they are defending too much incineration to that. So that, so far for politics, about what is the status of the network right now in Europe. As I told you, the network is growing. This zero waste network was not existing in Europe only like 5–10 years ago, and now it's growing in more and more countries. In Italy, the Refuted Zero, Rossano is going to talk about it later on, but that's the vanguard of zero waste in Europe. This is a list of zero waste municipalities in Europe. Zero waste municipalities in Italy, and I always get it wrong because then Rossano comes and says, yes, there's 5 more, there's 10 more, etc. So it's an always increasing list. Next. In the Netherlands, I didn't know that, but on their site they decided there's a region with 500,000 inhabitants that are moving towards zero waste for 2030. And we can see that they are very much advanced in comparison with the rest of and they did that independent from us, and now we are working together, so it's very good. In Spain, we have very interesting developments. In Catalonia, the Residu Zero means zero waste. We have the municipalities working with the university and with the civil society on how to change the paradigm. Something I didn't say is that with the economic crisis, there's little money now for landfills and incineration. So there's interest to do more with less. So it's a good opportunity for those who want to push a change to do it now. And it's working very well in Catalonia, for example. Next. In the Basque Country, Zero Tzabor means zero waste in Basque. And they're so happy with the zero waste policies. Here's how much they were separately collecting. It was 28% in 2008. They moved to door-to-door separate collection. And that's in the main square of the city. And you see that in 2010, they are already on almost 90% separate collection. And that's been growing, and this movement has spread in a way that now they are controlling the region. So they have canceled an incinerator, and they're going to implement zero waste policies all over. So I think it's the right momentum to do this. A very important moment was in March when we met for the first time. It was a zero waste meeting for European organizations in Europe. We met in Brussels, people from 13 different countries. And we discussed basically what does zero waste mean under the umbrella of European legislation, but also how do we want to push for the same thing in different countries. Rossano was there and many people were there, and that is the basis to work in the future in countries where there was no zero waste network so far. There's also a blog that we are running. If you want to be updated, you can become friend on Facebook, etc. About zero waste. So any activities happening around Europe on zero waste, we try to put them in the website. And then just some last comments, that what matters is the vision. The important thing is also to minimize residuals. That's what is good about zero waste. It's not a matter of only maximizing recycling. It's reducing waste generation. And that's what zero waste brings into the debate of waste in Europe. To keep the flexibility in the system, and something that we discussed in the meeting in Brussels is like for some countries zero waste sounds like it's true, it's utopic. It's true that it goes against the second principle of thermodynamics, but we want to make it concrete. So what they did in the Netherlands and what we are trying to do also with Enzo in Italy and in Catalonia is to say, what do we mean by zero waste? And we said that it could be that to get around 22 pounds of municipal solid waste residuals for, say, 2020, 2030, as a way to identify a goal. Because if you go to a municipality and say, okay, what do you mean by zero waste? So say like, okay, 22 pounds.
Per person, per person.
Per person, yeah. Yes, it's per person. Next. Just last sentence. Fighting climate change for Europeans is very important. So they say 63% of Europeans are fighting against climate change. And for 75% of them, the first thing they do to fight climate change is to separate and recycle at home. So the people is on our side, so it's in our interest as well to get them in the zero waste movement because we have the possibility to do something big. Thank you very much.